entered the ring. Flash Morgan Webster was using a motorcycle helmet, perhaps?
It was his helmet, yes.
His helmet, yeah, as a weapon. And Vicky got involved and put Flash Morgan Webster in a submission of her own, and then he kind of tossed her off, and then Haskins ended up hitting him with a couple moves to finish it off and make him tap out at the end. So Haskins ended up getting the submission victory in another solid match in the first half of the show.
Yeah, I don't know if this is going to be the end of the feud. I don't think they're wrestling again on the tour, so we'll see. But I think Mark Haskins is one of those guys that's like really close to being kind of the next level. What do you think?
He certainly has the look of that guy. Again, I haven't seen enough of his matches. I've seen a few. I mean, I thought he had a very good match when we went on Tuesday. He's got a good gimmick, of course. With his wife adds a lot to his persona, I guess you could say. So
hell yes.
Yes. So I think that's a good, a good group, a good pairing there, obviously, because they're husband and wife. But he seems like he's a potential breakout guy wherever he decides to go, whether that's staying with Progress or if he's going to be in NXT UK or whatever it is that he decides to do.
He's also going to be in the Honor Reunited Cup coming up. What the hell they call that? The Ring of Honor.
I think it's the Reunited Tour Part 2 or something. I think it's next week sometime.
There's a tournament, and he's going to be in the tournament too, so I'm looking forward to that. Next up was it was the Calamari Catch Kings, CCK versus LAX for the Progress World Tag Team titles. CCK had just beaten the Grizzly Young Vets 2 nights ago in Philly or Boston, whichever show it was, for the titles. And I don't think anybody at all expected them to drop the titles here. I know I didn't. I will say, going in, I gave LAX winning a 0% chance. But throughout the storytelling of that match, they had me buying in every single false finish.
Yeah, it was the last match before intermission, and they went all out. I don't know exactly how long it was, but I'm sure it was between 20 to 30 minutes. They're just four talented guys, probably all very good tag team wrestlers as well, especially. So there was a lot of false finishes, crazy moves and combinations towards the end of the match where any on at least like 6 or 7 times in a row where there was a pinfall attempt off of a move where it was believable that it would be the finish for either team. And the crowd was super into it. Yeah, like I said, I don't know exactly how long it was. It was between 20 and 30 minutes for the tag titles. And, CCK ended up winning the match, I believe by tap out submission.
Chris Brooks had him in it was a calf slicer, like with his hands. It was kind of like a Kimura calf slicer kind of deal, but they had run the injury angle beforehand where Ortiz, he was running to do a move and he kind of his knee buckled. So they went back to that a couple times. I think that made sense in the finish a lot.
Yeah, I think it was Santana or somebody had like I don't know if it was his ankle or his knee or somewhere somewhere his leg was being worked during the course of the match and he was selling it. And so they played into the fact that he had to tap out at the end because Ortiz couldn't get back into the ring to save him.
That's what it was, yeah. The match was laid out really well. Jonathan Gresham also has so much personality that I didn't know about until I saw this match. And he was doing some hilarious heel stuff. And the other thing was, I think it was LAX's first time in Progress, I believe. So Jim Smallman, the guys that run Progress, I don't know if they really understood how over they were in New York because CCK is over in Progress, but LAX in New York, man, that was a hometown crowd to say the least.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and we've seen them work a few different shows for different promotions in this area. Yeah, they worked. What was that's House of Glory, right? Was that promotion?
House of Hell, Joe.
Okay, that's one thing. And Impact, they're obviously featured on Impact, and Impact ran a show out here about a year ago or so. And I know LAX works other promotions out here. Those are just the ones that one or both of us have seen in person. So yes, LAX is a very over tag team act. Not only on television, but in person, especially out here in New York.
Yeah, the guys even got emotional afterwards. I think Jim Smallman said it was the greatest tag team match in Progress history, and that's saying something. There's nothing in that match that I would have changed. The guy next to me halfway through, he was like one of the real smart marks. He's like, "Oh, Jim Cornette would hate this match." Shut up, just shut up. Ugh. But because they were kicking out of finishes, I think Chris Brooks hit a J driller. and Jonathan Gresham at a 450, and Santana kicked out of that, and I was like, the place went bananas. I mean, but the finish was good, the match was good, and it was the right move to have that right before the intermission because there was nothing following that match.
Yeah, it was like that ended up being a good from a timing perspective. Yeah, so it was really good match. I think we talked about it on the train ride home. I think I given it like a 4.5 star rating or something along those lines. Just for it was really really excellent.
Yeah, 4.5 stars from me as well. Intermission was close, was 15-20 minutes. It wasn't that bad. The matches, there was not a lot of BS in between. So the intermission, it was a nice welcome change. The wrestlers are outside doing autographs and stuff like that, so you can get your merch and get your drinks and stuff and come back to the seats. Coming back from intermission, we had the Grizzled Young Vets versus Sexy Star. My biggest issue with this match is they did not come out to any of their traditional music. I wanted to hear Love Fool by the Cardigans. I wanted to hear the Divinals, Touch Myself. I wanted to hear Joan Jett, Do You Want to Touch Me? I heard zero. I heard nothing. I was devastated, and it was a poor way to start that match for me.
Well, I guess you can, write a sternly worded letter to Jim Smallman and let him know that next time you want to hear the audio.
I want to hear the songs about masturbating. Anyway, so what did you think of the match itself?
I thought it was okay. It was a little sloppy, some stuff in the beginning, and I'm not a pro wrestler, so this is just a fan like watching it. But there's a couple of spots that were, a little bit off for whatever reason. And it was not bad. I mean, it had some good spots to it, but it was just okay for me. So I went like 2.25 star, and I was a little bit surprised by the team that won. And I don't know a ton, obviously, of history about these guys yet because I'm just kind of coming into the whole Progress thing recently. But I was a little surprised that the Grizzled Young Vets took a loss here.
Same here. I do think Zach Gibson, I said it to you there, kind of has that BJ Whitmer, I hate you heat. So I think he did a good job talking before the match. And I was kind of a mark for the holding the ropes thing and how he kind of put over the match before. He's like, we just watched that match in the back. He's like, not once did anybody make a tag, which is, pretty true. The match itself, I thought I went 2.25 star myself. I was underwhelmed. Let's just say that. But I'm becoming a bigger and bigger fan of David Starr. I like him in the ring. He's got really good offense. His clotheslines are just brutal. So I'd like to see more of him. I saw a lot of him in the Super Strong Style 16 this year, Progress's tournament, and I hope to see more single stuff from him. So, yeah, I was also surprised at the outcome, and I wonder how much that changed previously the night before when they lost the title. So, next up was everybody's favorite bro, Matt Riddle against Mark Andrews. I don't know, man. Go ahead. I don't want to sound negative. You go first.
Oh, man. Here we go. Well, Riddle was replacing, I believe, Travis Banks. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Travis Banks, who had just lost. This was supposed to be a title match, actually. But Travis Banks lost the title to Walter at a Midweek Matters Chapter 74 about a week beforehand. So. Okay.
Yeah, so Riddle came on, I guess, as a replacement and fought Mark Andrews on this show. I wasn't really sure what to expect, right, because the rumors are heavy out there of Riddle having signed a deal with WWE. So, some are expecting him to show up sooner rather than later. I don't know exactly how much longer he's going to be wrestling on the indies. He just dropped, I lose track if it was the Evolve title or the WWN title, but he lost that recently. And now he was wrestling Progress. I wasn't sure if he was going to lose or what the deal was, but what ended up happening was they worked a pretty short match, I would say, relatively speaking. It was maybe like 7 or 8 minutes. And Riddle ended up getting the win, actually, on his way out. But it was well worked for the time that they had. They just didn't have a long time. Usually Riddle, anytime I've seen him in matches, usually like 20 minutes plus for everything that he does. But this,
all the stuff with Zack Sabre and all the stuff in Evolve, it's always like 15, 20, 25 minutes. He works a very slow pace to start.
Yeah, so this one was not a very long match, and whatever the reasons were for that, I'm not going to speculate. So, but yeah, it was like 7 or 8 minutes, and he ended up getting the win with a running knee strike while Andrews was kind of down on the mat, and it was good. It would have been really good, I think, if it had more time. But I say it was probably about like 3 stars even for me, just given the shortness of the match.
I only went 2.5 on that one. I'm a real piece of shit, huh? Forgive me for not loving Matt Riddle. Don't worry, all you NXT jabronis are going to be riding his jock in about 6 weeks and have all your King of Bro shirts. Listen, I have nothing against Matt Riddle. I just maybe it's like a kind of a you and a Kenny Omega thing. You feel like he's so hyped up that you can't possibly live up to the justification of the hype.
Yeah, that's fair.
To me, Omega's a little bit different because he's been doing it for a lot longer, but I think everybody loved Riddle because he came in from UFC and stuff like that. And I've followed Matt Riddle since The Ultimate Fighter 8. I used to watch him. He knocked out Dan Simler, who was a friend of a guy I trained with viciously, with one of the scariest knockouts of all time. Regardless, I think Riddle's perfectly fine. I think he's good in the ring. Not overwhelming. Can't really cut that good of a promo. He just says bro a lot. I mean, he's kind of like 2018 RVD with some suplexes and less high flying. Best way I can describe him. I will say this. He got in huge. They announced him at like 208. Bullshit. Riddle's walking around at 225. I mean, he was just a monster. You and I looked at him. I'm like, dude, he did not look like that a year and a half ago. So I think he's kind of, preparing himself for NXT. And you think, what are the odds we're going to see him next week?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. If I had to bet, I'd say better than 50-50 is where I would go. Usually they like to have at least somebody show up as a signing at these events. The last one, I think it was Keith Lee that was in the crowd. So, and he's already just, I think, debuted on TV last night. So I think that I think if I was betting, I would say that I think he'll be there in Brooklyn next Saturday, which would be cool. It'll be a cool moment for him, I'm sure. And, he's a relatively well-known indie guy right now, and with a lot of buzz. And it took him a little time to get signed or go to WWE and stay there. But that's what's going to happen here, so we'll see.
And if he got that kind of crowd reaction in a small place in La Boom in Queens, he'll get plenty of a reaction next week in Brooklyn. That's for sure. Mm-hmm. Main event of the night was British Strong Style versus the Three Kings, which are Jimmy Havoc, who is the king of the death match, King of the North Side. Brody King and Eddie Kingston. British Strong Style, I believe the term is over like a rover. Is that fair to say? Is that like
a British term?
Or? No, I heard Taz say it.
Oh, okay. Scooby-Doo? No. Yeah, I mean, those guys, Trent Seven, Tyler Bate, Pete Dunne. Again, for those who watched NXT or the UK brand over there, they're familiar with them from that. But they've been in the UK wrestling for a lot longer. And I actually read up on some of the history of those guys yesterday just because I didn't know. And like there's all sorts of stuff like where like Seven and Dunn were a team, and then Bate came involved, and then they turned on him, and then he turned on and joined them. It was like all this history that I was not aware of prior to the last like year and a half. So, but yeah, I mean, they are super popular, super over. I mean, the match started out, maybe the first half was a little bit more comedy than anything else, which, it has its place in shows. So they did a bunch of that in the beginning, and then the second half of it was a little bit more serious, and they turned it up, and they had very entertaining match to end the night. Those guys, I think Trent Seven is.
How did you not tell people how we almost died?
How did we almost die?
The shoes, bro.
Oh, the shoes?
We were this close. We were this close to being Public Enemy 2018.
Yeah, Pete Dunne asked for a woman's shoe who was sitting at ringside, and she gave it to him, and he started using it as a weapon. And then at one point, he started kind of calling for the fans to throw shoes to him, and we were sitting front row. So we could have gotten shoes to the head. Luckily, that didn't happen. Most of the shoes came
literally right in front of us. He said that, and you and I were just like, ruh-roh, and kind of took cover. But luckily, we made it. So
survived. Yeah.
Well, continue what you're saying. I cut you off.
No. Yeah. So they again, a very entertaining match with those guys. For anybody who's interested, check out our Instagram and Twitter pages for a picture with the British Strong Style gents. Is that at All Night Long WP? Is that where?
Anal Whip. Yeah, at All Night Long WP, Instagram, on Twitter. Facebook.com/allnightlongwp. And if enough people subscribe to YouTube, YouTube.com/allnightlongwp. But until then, just go to YouTube and type in All Night Long Wrestling Podcast, which is where you can watch us right now.